All right, so we will call this selectmen's meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. First up on the agenda is to approve and sign the minutes from the June 28th meeting. Anybody have any comments on those?
No, make a motion to accept it.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm still thinking. Slower than me.
Yes, sir. Okay,
Still thinking.
so next up, we have Cheri Caulder and regarding the affordable housing project. Cheri, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just have to say, I know I'm beating a dead horse. You guys have made up your decision. It's not going to be brought forth in front of the town as far as I know, as far as the vote. My thing was, and I agree with Bill Waterhouse because I read the minutes when they did that, and it was Gil and Joel and what's his name, Palomino, and that was done shady. That was no doubt about it. That was a shady move. Gil, that's on you, not those two, but that was shady on you, not to include the town, or we didn't know anything about it, and it shouldn't have been decided right then and there. That was shady. I'm sorry, not sorry, but shady. The other thing is, have you guys ever counted the number of properties that are for rent in North Woodstock? Has anybody ever looked at that as far as houses, apartments? They're over what I know of, and this isn't including apartments because I don't know how many apartments, 30 properties that I know of. 3 of them I have that I have rented to local people. I had 4, I sold 1 to a local kid. That was my thing with we can sell it, but only to a local. No one else does that. I just think that there is over 30 properties
Available.
not available, but they're
Okay.
full. And so.
Full, they're all full.
They're all full,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
But like Jackie made the comment that people were leaving because there's no place to live. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. If they want a job here, which there's plenty of jobs here, right?
Oh, yeah, we know that.
Exactly.
But there's no available.
I think what happens is that people that, well, a lot of people that work here have to live in Littleton or Clement or Campton or what, because they can't find a place to live.
In 2016, the chamber did a study, and all the people that work in this town, only 30% could live here. And that was something the chamber did independent of.
I lived here all my life, through the good, through the bad, through my father not having a job. That's just part of life. That's just the way this town is. That's just the way it is. I just, yes, they are all full. I get that. But what's to say they're even working here? They might not be. They could be living here, but not working here. Same with affordable housing. You can't guarantee that it's gonna be somebody that's gonna work here. Is that gonna help you? No. I mean, they could be living in Plymouth now and go, oh, we can't afford it here. Let's go there. We can afford it there, but I'm still gonna work in Plymouth, or I'm still gonna work in Littleton. You can't guarantee that a local family, like Jackie said, 3 families are moving out. You can't guarantee that those 4 families are gonna be the ones that get picked to go in there. It's open to anybody, whoever wants to be.
A statistic I heard from the last president of the last director of the head said that about 60% of the occupancy of those places actually from here. People gravitate from places that are a little more expensive to live into there. And that was 2 years ago. I spoke to him at my clock. And he said that on the average, 60% of the people that already live in town will gravitate to those places.
If they can.
If they can get
Right,
in,
they
yeah.
probably already got a list a mile long of people from all over. It's not just open to here, it's open from all over.
Yeah,
Talking to those guys too, that what they'll do is they try to advertise just in the local community first before they open up to the public on places to live. They try. They can't restrict it to only build the residents, but they try to advertise it locally and like in that local community first, and then take the people as they come in before they advertise more broadly. But I mean, that's just what they say. I don't know. I can't.
My other thing is, they want to have not pay all their taxes towards that, are they gonna be able to afford the sewer and water? Because I pay, as far as you all know, you and I went round and round.
I know. They have to pay 100% of that.
Are they gonna be able to? I pay
If they can't, they can't.
$3,500 for being open for 18 days from October to December. And they're gonna have 29 units.
They're gonna, I believe they're gonna be needed individually.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
but that's
they're
what I'm
gonna pay
saying.
they're gonna pay their own.
The people that live there. are gonna pay
Yes,
their own.
yeah, I
This is a
believe,
resident one.
Cheri, that's the way we planned it. Because any new developments, what's happened like in Grandview and stuff like that, what happens is we don't do a master meeting. They have control over all this stuff and we can't really control, the metering and stuff like that. So we're better off having a master, having each one of them. No, wait a minute.
We're gonna have a
meeting.
master.
We're gonna have a
and each
master
unit
meter
will have-
and then each unit will have their own. So they're not getting any break on the water and sewer tap fees.
Either.
So, and that, which will be over, way over 100,000, probably $150,000.
Does he know that? Does he seem shocked over how much? the
He got to know that because I was clear and part of our grant that Cheryl spent a lot of time on to try to get the sewer, the pump station upgrade on Lost River Road. Part of that grant process was him saying they were going to pay
A
X,
commitment of fees.
a commitment of fees towards that. So they know that. They know.
Are you at any time going to put this out to the public for them to have a vote on, or you guys have pretty much signed, sealed, delivered, done?
It's not a public vote. Unfortunately, it's not. It would be like them having a public vote on you having a campground or you having your excavation permit. It's land that they purchased.
But you're gonna help them with the grant money. The town is.
We're not
going to-
giving them money, no.
The grant
The
is,
municipality holds the grant.
but you're applying for the grant through the town, correct?
The municipality has to apply for the grant, correct? I did hypothetically, after last week's meeting, run some numbers as far as taxes go, because I know that was a big concern of people, and so I've done my research on that. Currently, we have an evaluation of 280 million. That's all of our land and property for everybody, right? And we're paying $9.18 per thousand as residents. Our current taxes to be raised is about $2.6 million to be raised by tax dollars. We got following? Okay, so say they said hypothetically, these are hypothetical numbers, please do not quote me on them. We won't know until everything's done and said, right? But say hypothetically, they are valued at $10 million. They're 29 units that they build. So we add that $10 million to our current 280, so we brings us up to 290 million. Hypothetically, they come in, obviously we try for 100%, between negotiations, we land at 75%. So they're gonna pay us 75% of their taxes, so their payment in lieu of taxes is gonna be 75%. So that comes in about just shy of 70,000 at $68,000, almost $69,000. So taking next year's budget, on average, we run about 4%, 3 to 4% each year, our budget increases, right? Operating, not water and sewer, because that's completely different. So last year we had to raise 2.6 million. This year we would raise $2,720,000, right? We take their pilot, their payment in lieu of taxes of $68,850, take that off. So then taxes to be raised by us as residents would be $2,651,000, right? Divide that by the 290 million evaluation, and it comes out to be $9.14 per thousand on the tax rate, which is hypothetically would be 4 cents less than what we're paying as a tax rate right now. And that's what they're trying to explain the other day, that yes, they may not pay us 100%, but the value, they're going to be valued at what their value does actually helps in some cases. Doesn't work this way in all communities. And I'm not guaranteeing that it's going to work in this way exactly in this community. But the math steps show right now that if that's how it works or how it goes, then that will work in the community's favor, lowering our tax rate by 4 cents per thousand. Okay?
Oh, that's good news.
Yeah, it's
Hypothetically.
I know, I have no idea. I
It
haven't
is.
looked at it.
We can't guarantee it.
What he said that night when him and Rex went outside and discussed a few things, that he was thinking the most he's gonna pay in taxes would be $50,000. And that's what he said. And we're like, are you kidding me?
Well,
That's what we pay.
that's where we come in and we negotiate that up, right? We start at 100%. We're not dummy. We all run businesses. We're gonna start at 100%, but somewhere we're gonna find a happy medium. And we're gonna have to, but we're not, not necessarily saying we're gonna go as low as what he thinks at 50,000. Okay? That's where our negotiating powers come in. Anything else? We might, while we're on it, we'll open the public comments on this
Okay.
thing, instead of waiting to the end. I
Okay,
understand.
you quoted our tax rate is $9 and something.
As what was in the annual report was $9.18
That's just
for
the
the
town-
town
The
portion.
town portion,
Correct.
okay. Well, you gotta compare apples and apples and oranges, okay? That's not what we pay, because we have to pay for the school. And as I've said before, once these people get in there, if that project, gets up and running, which it appears that it is, even though everybody that was at the selectmen meeting the last time was in this room was against it, overwhelmingly against it, for everybody who was in this room, from what I saw, okay? It's gonna go through, and as soon as those people have, 10, 20, 30, 40 kids, the school's gonna want another $2 million. Okay, we have all these extra kids. Every time you put a kid in the school, they want another $1 million. All right, that's just the way the school works. All right, so you gotta, if you're gonna quote the tax rate, you gotta quote the entire rate, because that property over there is going to affect the entire tax rate, including the school.
We don't know that for sure,
Well, if you believe it,
We don't know if it's true, just like
because you don't know if it's gonna be,
been.
half of them are gonna be couples,
Okay,
half of them might have one kid who is under 5 and in childcare.
you're
So
absolutely right,
you can't say that we're gonna have 40 new
but
kids.
you can't say we
instantly.
can't.
No,
No.
you can't, but the likelihood of it,
according to them at the school, when they came here at the school, the rep came from the school, they could take up to 40, probably more kids without increasing teachers at all. This is not my quote.
I mentioned it to one of those teachers and they were not impressed and not happy by that comment.
Okay,
Well,
there's a lot of unknowns here, there's no question.
oh,
Something else, do we have an agenda, because one wasn't posted on the website or on the door?
I brought that up.
Do we have one that I can look at?
I can get one for you. Yeah.
Oh,
let me text
don't
you.
go over, never mind.
No, I can zip a quick text to give you one. It was posted at 9:03 last night.
Yeah, I asked Judy,
It's not required.
I asked Judy about that this morning, she was off, I said she reposted, she apologized.
She did try to get help.
I mentioned that
Share it,
last
right,
night
but-
because it should be out on Friday.
I think that doesn't the state say 24 hours?
Posting a meeting, not
I'm
posting,
sorry?
posting a meeting needs to be within 24 hours, not posting an agenda.
It should be posted on
It
Friday,
should be, it's a courtesy, and you're correct. It should have been posted before.
no
Mistakes
question.
happen.
Okay,
It won't, again.
I just wanted to see what was on the agenda.
Yep.
That's
I don't know what's on it either.
We have this, we thought Charlie was gonna be in, but he may get moved to next week. We have the sewer use ordinance that to discuss with Kathy here from Welch's, and then just approve some check requests and some donations. Okay. Yes,
I thought I saw that was something.
yes. And then I just saw the other old, sorry, the Waterhouse for School Street.
Push it on the bottom, Bill.
It was under old business, so my apologies. Nicole, yes, I do see you with your hand raised. Go ahead. There you go.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank
With a
you.
pilot request for payment in lieu of taxes, is that up to the town to grant that? And do you have to grant it?
It is up to the town. I don't know if there's state regulations that require us to grant it. We'd have to look into that a little bit more as far as what is required with the grants that they're receiving. Typically, in a project like this, there is some kind of negotiation that happens for a pilot.
For the grant that you're applying for, that's a community block grant, is that correct? Was that 500
Up to,
up to? And you're going to apportion some of that to a head, is that my understanding?
yeah, the town will receive 25,000 in administration, which is basically just receiving the grant and pushing the grant back.
Right. What's the terms of the grant as far as when you receive a grant, typically you have to complete a project within a certain time frame? Is there a time frame on the money to be used by a head?
I think that's outlined in the agreement and the guidelines of the grant when it's actually approved.
And do they have other funding to actually start this project if you give them that money once it's approved?
I don't know what
No.
they do not have all the funding available or necessary to start the.
So will
project.
they be able to fulfill the terms of the grant, or will we have to pay it back?
They will have to pay it back as the grantee after us. So the municipality just receives the money and puts it back out. It's
It's a pass.
a pass.
Okay, pass through, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any matching?
No, not with CBDG.
Okay,
On things like the Northern Borders grants, those are matching. Those are usually.
typically, yes.
Yes.
So with the head receiving that funding, I think it's important to understand if they have funding to even start the project before you give them the money. If you receive it.
They have funding to start, yes, because it's gonna cost them a lot more than $450,000 to
Correct.
do this project. But they also have other federal grants and programs and loans that they have received or applied for as well.
Okay,
This is a multi-grant, this is just a small piece of the pie for this whole build out. That's it?
Yep.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us.
One more thing, Cheryl, if you don't mind.
Yes, Patrick.
Like I said, the last meeting, what I saw, I wasn't here, but what I saw was that majority of people here, the room was pretty well full last meeting, unless the camera to see me. But the majority of the people were, actually, I think everybody that was in the room was against it. And that's how our elected officials should be voting. The people that came out, just like at the town meeting. And I don't know what the number is now, but last time I checked, we had 1,387 residents, but if only 100 of them show up at the town meeting, they make laws. Okay, so if only 30 or 40 people showed up here to address you people, you should be voting as those 30, 40 people that took the time to come to the meeting, vote, spoke out. All right, and that's just the way I see it. You're supposed to be representing the people, the entire town of Woodstock, not a small group of, beneficiaries to that town. And if the town people come out and saying no, you should probably be saying no.
But just to clarify, there was 9 individuals last meeting here. 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I
still, the
told it
9,
right just now from the minutes. So we
still
have
the
9.
9 individuals that came out. Okay, like I said, 1,387 people, and 100 show up, they make the new laws of the town. Okay, based on, 100 people make the laws for 1,387. So it's the same thing here.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Moving on, it doesn't look like Cheri's here, so I'll have Judy reach out and ask him if he wants to go on the next agenda. So next up, we have our work with Kathy here from Welch's to go over the sewer use ordinance. This is a nice, lovely DES document of 50+ pages.
This is something the state shows that are.
Right. Yes, ma'am, you've got the floor.
Yes, I went online
Okay.
and a bunch of towns similar to Woodstock in New Hampshire posted right online.
Oh, great.
So I brought 2, one Jaffrey, one North Conway. North Conway's is very thorough.
Okay,
Jeffries, and it's going by what the state sent you.
okay,
Brought those, you guys can go through them and maybe
you wanna maybe have,
decide.
email them to Judy too, so that we can,
Sure.
okay.
Yep.
Go through them a little bit more thoroughly,
Everybody wants to.
not that there's much to understand the survey.
And they basically follow exactly what's there and they just put in their numbers and what they, and
Okay,
town can. So they have our original old from 19 somewhere. It says somewhere.
based looking at the paper,
Yeah,
it
it's
was
not very
yeah,
much, so.
Just the definitions take up, 8 pages.
Yes.
right.
That's-
So what are you recommending? Are you recommending we deep dive into what DS gave us, or kind of take a look at
I would
Jeffries
kind
and?
of take a look at those two, because they pretty much are following what you have there with all the highlights, and the highlighted areas, I think, are just ones that you can write in what you want.
Okay,
Some Conway Village, is very thorough, they really did some putting in limitations on.
now that, is this something that, we submit data to DES and they write it, or we need to write this?
We need to write it ourselves, and these are all online PDF, so you can
Okay.
kind of go in and just.
Tweak
Pull
it.
it,
Yeah.
pull it and tweak it,
Mhm.
okay. All right, well, maybe we'll pull those off and then
And there's
look for,
I mean, I just picked those two, but there's
yeah,
pages of
okay.
towns.
So these are the two that you're kind of recommending.
Conway, I think, is done in 2020, I don't know when Jeffrey did theirs.
Okay,
Conway is the,
That probably falls on my, yeah, you just handed it to me, so it probably falls on me.
I'll help you.
No, I don't.
I'll work on it.
yeah, because I looked through that, very,
Yeah, it's a lot of,
it's a lot of
like, yeah, a
information,
lot of information, a lot of yellow.
yes.
So, we might be better off taking the Jeffrey one and working off that one.
Right, or you
And
can go
then-
on, there's other smaller,
Yeah.
Farmington,
Well, I mean, you've
anything
looked at
about
it,
the size of
Yeah,
Woodstock,
and work on that and use it between that, the state and the North
Right.
Conway, and come up with our own version. of it.
Right, and I'll just give you, I think I just Googled sewer use ordinances in New Hampshire, and all those towns just popped up, and I'll let Judy know that.
I just hate to spend the money to have Steve write this thing,
Right,
Yeah,
and there's no
Well, we
reason
can
to,
pull-
if we can avoid it.
and most of them are all about the same. That one I thought was very,
okay.
probably more than you would need.
And then you-
Jaffrey, I thought. was a
You
little
guys
more.
would be able to fill in the
I would
blanks.
think so,
Okay,
yeah, yeah. Shouldn't be that difficult.
okay. Anything else? Everything,
Everything else is good.
everything's good at the
Well,
sewer
this is a
plant?
major, anything else.
Everything's good down there though? Everything is working well? Everything's, you guys
Yes,
are happy?
Yeah.
How are we doing on the upgrade, like with level up there?
Rich is still working on the VFDs.
Yeah.
Locating the parts and stuff like that. It's been a mess, same with the well area, it's a mess trying to get that kind of stuff right now,
I can appreciate that.
supply and demand, but everything else seems to be going forward.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I know the co-op, they asked me the last week, I was. I'll let them know where we're at, so.
Yeah, we can get some electrical laid out. We have to cut through some pavement, get some electrical laid out fairly soon. I'll be getting together with Mike Harrington on that.
And the HVAC thing, I told him it was okay to wait till September and stuff. So, the one, the mini splits. and stuff.
Mini splits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
There again, it's another electrical. We can get some electrical put in for it.
And then everybody's just so busy right now, it's hard. That's one thing. Just wait, if we have an emergency, I want to be able to call and say it's an emergency. Not having everything be an emergency.
No, fortunately, we have heat, so it's not like we're gonna
Yeah, exactly.
freeze, but
Apparently there are no approved check requests or donations. It was just on there as a place marker. So, from there, since there are no check requests or donations, we'll move on to, let's do old other business. And to talk about real quick, Bill Waterhouse and the School Street parking ordinance and all of that. Judy said, you had the information, Mike, on School Street.
I went through a lot of paperwork and they've had different variances of how wide that road is. I think it was originally given as a 24-foot road or 24-foot right of way. And then you can lay out whatever you need for a road in it. I haven't been out there again. I measured the pavement. I went in. That street varies, depends on where you measure that whole road. It originally went from Lost River to about to my mother-in-law's.
Okay.
That was the original street, and then it was given in two other pieces around the corner. If I read all the information correctly.
Okay.
But it was given, I believe it's a 22 or 24 foot right away.
Yeah, a lot of those roads up there, like Bell Street has a similar.
They
Right.
vary everywhere.
What about Center Street? Is that the same? Or?
I didn't read much on
Oh.
Center Street.
Okay.
There's just not much room for parking along that. It's not safe to park along that road anyway because of plowing and maintenance.
Yeah.
There's no room for the snow to go with cars in that road. Sure.
Okay. Is that? Yep, that's why we're doing public participation now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I went back to April 19th and I watched the recorded meeting. Bill asked a question related, quote, Bill asked a question relating to town rights of way and School Street outdoor dining and parking. The board will research and address at future meetings. Cheryl will get that. At a subsequent meeting, Cheryl wasn't here, and Gil and Scott made an attempt to convey what was taking place, and that was that there were going to be some 2-hour parking limit signs put up on the streets.
Main Street.
Main Street.
Main Street would be 2 hour.
Yes.
And that's what the ordinance speaks to, it's Main Street, correct? And then we have the other ordinance that speaks to all streets.
Right.
I think signs coming from the state that
Yeah.
printed them yet.
Okay.
Along the parking ordinance, that is specific, that specifically references School and Center Street.
I'll have to pull up the parking.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't bring that with me, but I did mention that. And read the-
I think during our meeting, I think the intent of the time limits was Main Street, but I mean, maybe it is in there, school and Center Street, I don't know.
What, that was an April meeting, you said?
It was April 19th.
So we looked at it probably the next meeting is one way.
There were reasons why you folks couldn't get back to me until this point in time, and that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. It was the consistency of the application or the application of what was contained in the parking. If it was specific to those 2 streets, and there is a 2009 survey of School Street that specifically shows that it is a 24-foot right. And I have gone out, I have then, and I did since, The distance between the white lines on School Street are just over 19 feet. And on Center Street, the distance between the white lines is over 22 feet. So if those are the same rights of way width, the right of
Is it the vehicle thing? Go.
the right of way is held. The rights of way are held by the town. Am I correct there? The town has jurisdiction within those 24-foot rights of way. So within that 24-foot right of way, why the variation in the white lines?
On Center Street, like I said, there's no room for parking along like Fadden Building or the apartments.
Yes.
And maintain the road. So that's why the lines were out a little further. On the other street, there is room for parking with the maintenance of the road. Plus, of course, Scott maintains his parking lot, so the snow is almost never a problem on that road. The lines don't go all the way down School Street, just that one section, so people know that they can't park within that area because we can maintain that area where the white lines are. I didn't put the white lines at the very extreme of the right of way.
Even though there's
Even though our right of way is wider.
I think we should also notice like the state right away up Route 3, Main Street is 50 feet. So
that's correct.
and if they stay to really enforce that, some of the businesses in the buildings would be. I mean, I'm just saying, I think there's common sense to be involved a little bit here too. Like, you know, patios, things like that are already built in the state right away.
They are built.
I mean, not that it's good, that's good, I'm just mentioning.
There's a common sense side and there's an equity side and a family side too. And I see that. If the state comes down and they want to expand, they've got that. Right. So the town has two ordinances on the books that say vendors and merchandisers shall not purvey within the rights of it. So you can move the lines. I'm only looking for the consistency. As Patrick mentioned, that this is a town of everybody, not just a few people, not a bias toward a certain organization or groups of people. As School Street is now with 19 feet, and to say that there's two-way traffic there, that's a challenge. So that's an interpretation. And in the summer months, snow doesn't come into play. You have a vendor ordinance and you have a street and sidewalks ordinance. If you will remember back to when a party came from Bull Moose Road and asked for a variance, a minor variance, to construct a garage, the board stated that there are so few ordinances in this town that we do not want to make exceptions to. And that's not what's happening here. And again, it's a consistency. It's recognizing that there are 1,800 residents in this town. And the board is elected by them and should be representing all of them and interpreting what is on the books. I made that point last night. We're moving ahead, but yet we keep bumping into, well, we don't know, we'll have to look into that. If we're going to do a planning, it would seem that you would want to know what you have so that you have a starting. It seems clear to me that there are starting lines in a survey of the owner. That's a 24-foot right of way. I'm not going to use it, so I'll put it in quotes. But common sense would tell you that pedestrian traffic, as well as two-way vehicular traffic, over 19 feet 6 inches, isn't safe.
Yes, Patrick?
Mike, when you say that School Street is 24 foot right away, that's their entire width, right?
That's the extent of the right of way.
Okay, the right of way, but the street, if the street is, like when we built our road, Bill Mellon said our road only had to be built at 16 feet. But the first part of Lady Slipper, when the town paved that, it was built at 20. So we built it at 20, but we were told the town has a 50-foot right of way. So that's 25 feet from the center line, either direction is what I was told by Bill.
Right, and pavement don't always go to the end of your right of way.
Right, correct. That's what, and
That's what you're getting at.
that's my point.
Yeah.
But up in School Street, it either does or you're pushing snow into Scott's building.
Right.
All right,
Which
okay.
we do, we put it right on his lawn.
My point is, you said the state has a 50-foot right of way for Route 3. What is that curb to curb? Is that the 50 feet? Because this town owns the sidewalk, right?
The town owns maintenance of the sidewalk. The
Is that
state
what-
still owns the property.
Is that
under the
within their
sidewalk.
fight? Is the sidewalk within the state's right of way?
Yes,
Okay, so the sidewalks, and my point is 1783, there was no rights of way, there was no state highway department, there was no anything. So when did this come about? Because, you know, depending on when buildings were put up and right of ways were put in, I would think there would be grandfather or somebody would have to have come and taken that property by eminent domain to make their right of way. You know what I'm saying? Do you understand my point?
Yeah, back
Yeah.
in 1783,
Yeah,
there was
I'm
no
talking-
lines
as-
drawn and, you know,
as
the
time has
stick in
gone
the
on.
dirt.
I'm saying
Right.
a lot of these buildings, like Fadden's store, been there, how old's that
Right.
building? Hundreds of years. When did the right of way go into effect? Okay, because like I said, if the state comes in and says, we have a 50-foot right of way, and I'm just using this as an example, and Fadden's store is within that right of way, the state either has to take it by eminent domain and pay him for it, okay, or grandfather him. Okay,
Right. Well, we've had the same issue with, like in 32, with the fencing and stuff in the front. The state actually owns, I think, 32 feet from the center line of the road.
uh-huh,
And they can tell them what they can and cannot do within that 32 feet. You know, if they want to construct something, they have to go get permission. And that's what we had to do with our sidewalks. Anytime we do anything with our sidewalks, like we're doing right now, from Courtney down to Ronnie Coop's house, we have to get a permit from the state to do any work in their right of way and to repair our sidewalk.
I'm just trying to, go, Bill's saying some things and some things are coming back to him about right of ways. Depends on when the right of ways went through.
Yeah.
Okay, and if somebody was grandfathered or not. Now, in the case, I assume the 19 feet you're talking is in front of, is beside Scott's place? Is that beside the Woodstock Inn? Is that what you're talking?
I measured both of them at the, as close as I could to the intersection with Main Street, where the white lines are.
Okay, so my point is if it wasn't done from the beginning, okay, it probably shouldn't have been done now. Because if the right of way was 24 feet back before it was being done, okay, there's got to be some sort of an ordinance change to allow somebody to put something within the right of way. Or the town's got to approve it. Well, and I don't know what the legal aspect of that is. You know, so I,
Well,
when I
it
read
was certainly
back,
before this board's time,
Just
so we
bringing
have
up
to do
points,
some
that's
digging
all
to
I'm
find
doing,
out when that was. It
Yeah,
was back to
people
the,
gave-
when Eileen and you first
that
purchased.
owned the properties along School Street, like where it is now by Woodstock Inn, to that corner, all the way to, like I said, up where my mother-in-law lives.
to the corner where your in-laws are?
Yeah, those two, that whole section was given to the towns as right of ways. Before the road was ever put in there, the road wasn't actually there at the time, it was just a field. And so they gave the right of way to make that a complete loop to Main Street. And that was, I can't remember what year it is, it's just a file, but.
You've taken over for Bill very well. You're so old now, you remember all this shit.
Some of it I may have,
Thank you for your
I
time.
get a bit from Bill, but my memory's not great, but I try.
So Patrick,
Yes,
that going back, I think if you pay a surveyor, and he puts 24 feet on a survey in 2009,
okay.
you pay them to do that, they are registered, they are licensed. I didn't dig back any further. It's obvious that it says it is 24 feet.
The right of way. Doesn't mean the road has to be laid out 24 feet. None of our roads match our right of ways.
Right.
I
Or very
agree.
rarely,
Right.
it could.
I
But-
agree
You know,
with
it does
that.
probably at Scott's because he is paved. The parking lot, he is paved to the road also.
No, I get it. It should. And the other side of, if you go into School Street from Main Street, all right, on the left side, the white line is pretty much right against the lawn or the wall that's there, right?
Pretty
You know,
close to that, I believe.
okay, so that means if you measured it 19 feet and Bill's saying it's 24 feet, that other 5 feet has to be on the other side. Okay, either that, or he's gotta take down the
And
wall.
if
and
you
lawn.
look at where the
Could go into the
sidewalk
grass.
ends, Patrick.
I'm sorry,
Where the sidewalk ends on Main Street, on School Street,
yep,
that's 19 to 20 feet too. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
The town
Well,
actually
9%
built the
right.
sidewalk, that's only 20 feet.
but that's a state sidewalk.
Right,
maintains
the
it.
town, no, I don't want, I'm just trying to.
So I'm just, you know,
No, I agree with you.
I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, you know, this is the first I'm hearing, I'm just throwing thoughts out there.
I know,
Thank you.
definitely. No.
Again, I'm only looking for consistency and acknowledgement. If I were after this meeting to ask Judy, public vendors and use of public streets without first obtaining permission to do so from the chief of police, without the expressed written consent of the Board of Selectmen. Curious as to how many of those would be on file for the vendors on Main Street as well as on School Street.
We'd have, you're welcome to submit an 91A request on that, because that we'd have to dig through. I mean, that's not anything we've decided on
That's
at any
what-
point in
that
time.
is- That is what I. That
You're
is
talking
what I
about
am
the
trying
seating.
to point
We
out.
The seating that is on the edge of the road, the fire chief, I think.
Yes.
Did John,
Yes, John did signed a permit that went from John, or the chief of, excuse me,
fire chief.
the fire chief did
And,
provide the selectmen a occupancy permit for that seating that is outside.
and we paid $8,000 in water and sewer tap fees. to use this.
That's fine. Anybody is going to pay, if you are a user, you're going to pay it. And that's a cost of doing business.
Of course it is.
You are within the town right of way. No person shall engage in the sale, rent, display of merchandise, or sale or serving of any type of food or drink on any public way, including sidewalks, in the town of Woodstock without the express written consent of the Board of Selectmen.
Yep.
So We're not there.
Hmm.
This should have come up to be signed off before it was assumed that it could be done. That's all, I'm
It was
not,
signed up on.
say that again?
It was when we received the occupancy permit from the chief, fire department chief. It was placed just like building permits, placed in the back room for the board of selectmen to review and sign. So yes, you will find it on file with Judy if you request it.
So then it comes back to what regard do we have for our rights of way?
Those seatings aren't there in the wintertime. It doesn't impede in my ability to maintain the roadway.
And that's where the right of way comes, is
That's
when
where
it
the right of way
impedes, when it impedes the work of the highway department.
That's a liberal interpretation. That right of their way is there
And yours.
12
Yep.
months out of the year. And I it's town property. And I have said that about town
It's
property, how
Right of way doesn't mean it's town property, it just means we have a right of way on the property. The property owners still own the property under the roadway.
right, but you
Or
have
to
no
the-
limitations
to the pavement.
upon what you can do.
Yeah, Bill Miller put a guardrail on my property.
Yeah.
Because the town had it right away.
Judy, go ahead.
When the occupancy permits come in from John, they don't get signed off by the board. What gets signed off by the board is the additional water and sewer capacity, buy-in fees if there's additional seating. That's how, John is the only one that signs the occupancy permits.
Okay. The
Just
fire-
wanted to clarify.
the fire chief.
Um,
Okay,
Okay,
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So the selectmen don't have to sign off on, it? Is that what you're saying?
No, as long as they've received or issued and received an occupancy permit from the fire chief, then that is their approval. What the selectmen have to approve is the water and sewer connection. They can't operate until the water and sewer connection fees are paid.
Because when you just said that, it was done in the back room, I would have said, I don't think that's right, because something that affects every resident of this town should have been done at a public
We
meeting.
signed
Okay,
the acceptance of the
and I was
sewer.
gonna ask Gil, if it's been there for 20 years, but now we just got the answer. I could ask him, if you ever voted on it over the 20 years. I know the answer, but I just, since you're the senior person on the board up there, I'll pick on you.
She misspoke.
I did, I apologize. And you were saying something.
So may I,
Go ahead,
is it
correct.
appropriate to ask that this ordinance be brought up and amended at the next town meeting?
Our ordinances are set by town meeting. Yep.
Yeah,
So this one is inconsistent with what Judy's.
We'll have Judy reach out to the attorney and have her review this meeting and see what her advice is on our steps forward. Because she can listen
I
to
know-
the recording and be able to take in everything that's been
A year or two ago, the
Discussed.
governor was pushing for outside seating in
correct.
edges of right of ways on sidewalks like we did, like,
Kevin's Public House and there's. a few
Demi
others.
Public House, Landmark too.
Yeah.
We let everybody put tables out because the governor was pushing everybody to put tables in,
Yeah.
not in the roadways, but in rights of way or
Yeah.
open seatings.
Yep, no, I think the best thing is we'll have the attorney in his office review this and review this meeting and give us advice on how we move forward.
In writing or just over the phone?
She'll review it. I don't know how she does it. I don't know if she'll discuss it over the phone with Judy. That'll probably be the first step. And then from there, we'll see if it goes through email or.
Whatever, whatever her opinion is.
Right.
Does the lawyer tell us
to
with
the
all
public
meetings,
now.
all selectmen's meetings?
Um,
Only when you request it?
Only when requested, yes.
Cheryl, I'll have her put it in writing for them.
Okay, there you go. Right from the horse's mouth.
Last fall, I was in Nashua, and I was on the main street, I forget its name. And restaurants in the town actually put out Jersey barriers and took up on the main street, probably 10 feet off the curb, so people could, restaurants and so forth could serve outside because of all the restrictions coming into the COVID. But they actually blocked off part of their main street.
They did that for COVID and they had a vote on that.
Right.
I noticed that.
They did
Woodstock
that
Fire
trying to get
Department
you-
just shut off 112 for their square dances at the firehouse.
I noticed that in the north end, they eliminated all the parking now for outdoor dining.
Parking and all that.
It was bad anyway, now there's none.
But what's the annual fee for the usage of that space? I believe it's $7,500 per,
It could be.
yes, it is.
I don't
And I
know.
think if you look in the state of New Hampshire, you'll see that people are sharing their newfound square footage with the community.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions as to anything that was on today's agenda? Yes, Bill?
Completely shifting gears.
Sure.
Back in my younger days, when I would sit in every week, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, house meetings, chapter meetings. There were factions, there were groups, there were agreements, there were disagreements, there were compromises. However, a bunch of teenagers and up to perhaps 22 years old found that it was best before entertaining a motion to adjourn that somebody within the chapter have to stand up and have a point for the good of the chapter. So the minutes, the meeting does not end with some of the negative and the inconsistencies of the meeting themselves, but to recognize that we were a body of 60 young men. And we are a town of over 1,800 people. And we reassure them, we all consider that the decisions that are made here by a few find a way to make things beneficial to everyone.
Bill, can you tell me where you got that 1,800 number? Because the last
We have
time I checked,
1,800 bill.
it was 1,364.
Was it? I thought that.
That this year,
1326.
I said 1387, but I hadn't checked.
Last time I looked, in the last year or so, it was 1,364,
Thank you.
not 1,800. I'm not sure, I'm just curious. where you
No,
got
I
that number.
transposed the 8 with 3.
I just want to make sure that it was.
He's dyslexic.
Thank you. Any other questions or
One
comments?
more comment.
Yes, Sherry.
Where I was going with the number of properties was that I feel that this North Woodstock, we already offer tons of places for people to rent. That we already go above and beyond, that there are so many places to rent. They may not be available right now, but we do have a lot of property that either it's a house or apartments that are for rent, so we do our share.
Thank you.
So this isn't specifically on the agenda, but it's for the good of the town. Everybody knows we had a fire down in my neighborhood,
Yes.
okay? I
Glad
just
no one was
wanna,
hurt.
I'm sorry,
Glad no one was hurt besides
Yeah,
someone off the
yeah,
fire
I mean,
department.
I was there, the kids were out, that's all, leave the house alone, let it burn, you know,
Oh,
the people are out,
Yeah.
that's all that matters.
Yeah.
But the fire department did an excellent job, and the other 8 fire agencies that were there did an excellent job. And I want to say that it was able to be handled quickly because of how quick John McKay and Dan DeFossis, who was the chief of Camden Dawn, got to that scene and were able to, grab the resources they needed to get there to prevent it from extending into the forest.
Yep.
Okay, so the forest guys were there looking at the fire saying, we better get to go to work or not. Go away, guys, we don't need you today. All right,
Yeah.
but the fire department, and it was because, and a lot of it is because John was able to get there quickly.
Yep.
All right,
This
so
is a lot to have the departments that we have.
we are lucky
We are
for,
very,
to have
very
a
lucky.
call, to have a call fire department to the caliber of we have. We're lucky.
100%.
Okay.
It's harder and harder to, I think, for towns to maintain that. I think we are really lucky.
You know? I mean, I
Thank you
still
for
don't like that we buy fire trucks every 20 years and get rid of them with 5,000 miles, but, okay, I mean, you know, every
I'm with
20
you.
years. You know, but, okay, but they did an excellent job, they did what they had to do, and again, it's because John was able to get there quick and determine what he needed for resources.
Thank
I
you.
mean, I don't know if you know, we had Whitefield, we had Littleton, we had Sugar Hill, Bethlehem, Franconia, Lincoln, Woodstock, Holderness, and Camden Dawn. Those were the 9 fire agencies.
And it's great to have relationships.
And
with
I just,
communities.
I don't understand why
to do that.
Plymouth wasn't called. Anyway,
Did we read
I
they
don't
were,
think they're involved in the,
Mutual aid,
Mutual aid.
sure they are. Sure they are.
maybe they were covering
Yeah.
Camden Thornton?
No, the Waterville was covering Camden Dawn. But, you know.
No.
yeah, Actually, most of this, whatever chief set up his run card didn't, you know, either forgot to put Plymouth on it or whatever.
It's all good. Thank you for bringing that
Yeah.
out. That was good. Great way to end.
I will say that we need a police detail because ever since the fire, it's become a tourist attraction. And for a little lady slipper road with 4 full-time residents out of the 12 houses is a freeway. Okay, so,
Sorry. All right. Well, nothing else. Then I thank everybody for joining us via Zoom. Oh, I see you, Nikki. Yep. Nicole.
Sorry, I'm just a little concerned with the drought situation and our water situation. Is there anything, I mean, we haven't gone into a drought situation, but with the town water, nothing seems fine.
No,
No,
Mike,
even.
A few years ago, when everybody Campton thought was running out of water, we still have a ton of it.
We're really
Our
pretty good
aquifers are
shape.
very deep at the river.
Okay,
thank you.
One good thing.
All right.
That's a good thing.
Remember
on this
correctly,
meeting.
that little sort of reflection pond that comes up next to the,
I've seen that almost bone dry and we
as it
still have
goes up,
plenty of
as the
water.
water table goes, so goes that.
Yeah.
Pond.
Yeah, that's a little bit of an indicator how much of a drought we are in, and that pond is still full.
Okay.
I've seen it down to 2 or 3 little mud puddles, and we still would not have plenty of water.
Yeah, 4 years ago, it was like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, just water usage, since we found the leak, has it been,
It's better.
it's better?
Yeah.
Still
Yeah, the
not
chemical
there,
usage is much better. The water law, it's much better. We still have 1 leak. We got a service line we gotta fix.
But we gained it.
But we're getting it, yeah. In fact, I just got the report, the final report, the end of last week. That the state sent out, that leak detection company come out. And I just got the final report, so I'll get that to you guys.
Great.
Okay, great.
you know, you live in a small, tight community. When somebody can sit in a public meeting like this, like Michael said earlier, and said, you know, where my father-in-law lived, my father-in-law is, and everybody knows where you're talking about. So,
It's true.
Exactly.
I was gonna say the old hair house, but I don't know anybody knows who Grandma O'Hare was.
No,
you know,
great. Well, thank you all for
Yeah,
joining us
Cheri
via
does.
Zoom.
That's right.
Thank you all for joining us here.
I'll make
Have
a
yourself a
motion
great
to adjourn.
rest of the day. Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Bill, did you say they were
Thank you.
supposed to stand up for a motion to adjourn?
A little kumbaya after this, come on. So
Drinks
Kathy, I'm gonna read through all this.
Okay.
And call you next couple.
Drinks on Scott.